Hey gang, I am so excited to have you here at week one for your first dollar, the entire process. And whether you're absolutely starting from scratch or you've tried something before and it hasn't worked, or you've got an existing business and you just want to create a new product or a new division or a new market, you're absolutely in the right place. And over this course, this next 6 weeks, everything that I've learned over the last 12 years, in particular the massive scientific progress in terms of action taking, in terms of willpower and energy management, in terms of getting things done and taking action, are all applied into this course. So you've got a template for making your business your first dollar and making your business success the way that you like to do it. We want to make a business that is truly enjoyable for you to work in. In this first week, we tackle the hardest and the biggest problem. The thing that has caused most of you who have tried to have a successful business fail. And this comes down to your entrepreneurial operating system. This is a discovery that we first made a couple of years ago, thanks to our working with Kolbe and the Kolbe Index, which you're going to hear all about very shortly. We realized something. We realized that the way you work, the way that you act, has dramatic implications in terms of how you put together a project in a business. And indeed, if you follow the steps that I put out specifically, and you're not my particular type of entrepreneurial operating system, you may as well have been playing tennis with a baseball bat. Just recently on the Your First Dollar podcast, and by the way, if you haven't subscribed to the Your First Dollar podcast, there's a link just under this video. You should do. It's amazing supplementary material to everything we teach. I teach experts and, I don't teach experts, we learn from experts, and I work with people just like yourself to help solve their problems. And just recently I spoke with Josh Houston, and he was a classic example of, you could tell, not only was he was working hard, he was trying, he tried all sorts of things, and he was the type, you could tell from his work ethic, he wasn't the type of person that shirks from doing the hard work. Quite the opposite. As you'll hear in that interview, he would often talk about doing things that were uncomfortable with him, and he'd say, oh, well, that was great, because I learn a lot and all of those sorts of things. And what we've realized is that when you are putting together a project, you need to just focus on your strengths and not your weaknesses. But Josh had been doing everything, but here's the problem. He'd been using the wrong entrepreneurial operating system. If he'd only had the right one installed, then he would have found things way easier. And that's what I helped him with, and helped him selecting a market because of that. So our first job this week is to figure out what your entrepreneurial operating system is, what the ramifications of that are, and then what it means and applies to you in terms of energy management, because the other key element of this week. Notice that I've said that the key things to your success are the techniques, the strategies, the Facebook testing, the traffic techniques, the copywriting techniques. That's really not neither here nor there when it comes to a successful business. And remember, I'm speaking from a space that has observed over 400,000 businesses start, succeed, and fail over the last 12 years through the challenge. And it's never the techniques. It's never the strategies. There are dozens of strategies that can particularly work. It's trying to follow somebody who is teaching you with an incompatible entrepreneurial operating system. Like I said, trying to play tennis with a baseball bat. That's job one. The second biggest thing is energy management, and we're going to tackle that this week as well. We've got to figure out, you're already busy, and we're going to really tackle organizational issues next week. But this week, I want to talk to you about energy management, because if you don't have enough willpower in your willpower fuel tank, we'll talk about this in a little bit, then you are going to be in all sorts of trouble. And when it comes to deciding whether, if you've got a low fuel tank and you're deciding whether to watch, Housewives of Atlanta or do half an hour's work on your business, Housewives of Atlanta will win. It's not your fault. Your brain doesn't literally have the fuel it needs to get you to do the disciplinary act. There's so much science on this, and I can't wait to bring the best parts of it to you. So with that, we're going to get cracking straight into it. You can see the course structure that's here below. You can see that we've got our week, and under our week we've got each of our lessons, and there'll be links there. At the end of most videos, I will try to give you a specific action step where it's appropriate, so you know exactly what we're going to do. And then at the end of this week's lessons, I'm going to also give you a step-by-step breakdown of the stuff that you need to do just to reinforce it. So there's that. Other thing I will mention that's a key part of this course is that we have, depending on the week, Q&A sessions or brainstorming sessions, depending on what we're tackling that particular week. Please take advantage of them, because it's so helpful for you to have your questions answered. It's also really beneficial to hear other people just like you with exactly the same challenges just like you and how they get solved. So it's a really important part of the process. Stay involved, stay committed to the process. And after 2 weeks of pre-season, in 4 weeks, we're going to take you from zero to making that first dollar. And we know how important that first dollar is. So with that, thank you very much for being part of this. Can't wait to work with you. Let's get cracking.